Hello, my name is Jerome Chua, and this is my graduate research project for HRT6575 titled Organizational Change, a DMAIC Approach. Thank you for taking the time to view my presentation. The DMAIC method is widely used in process improvement, namely in the Six Sigma or Lean Six Sigma methodology. This method stands for the following steps: define, measure, analyze, improve, and control. The major use of the DMAIC method is in project management, but it's also a good tool that individuals or organizations use for root cause analysis and problem resolution. Using the methodology, individuals should be able to understand the problem, define the impact of the problem, analyze the possible solutions, apply the solutions, and perform actions to keep the solutions in place. This methodology can also be applied in many things, including organizational change. Examples of organizational change models where the DMAIC method can be applied to include the ADKAR model, Cotter's theory, and Lewin's change management model. The ADKAR model was developed by Jeff Hyatt and is a change management tool that is used to help identify why change is difficult and why some changes succeed while others are unsuccessful. The name ADKAR is an acronym that stands for awareness. This is when employees must be made aware of the changes that are needed. Desire. The employees must have the desire to participate and fully support the change. Knowledge. By gathering knowledge about the change, the goal of the change will be clear to the employees. Ability. Because of the ability to learn new skills, change is accepted. And reinforcement. This is the reinforcement to sustain the changes and makes it clear for all employees that there is no turning back. Kotter's 8-step theory was developed by John Kotter. These are a series of steps that identifies the actions which lead to increased success factors to change. These steps are creating a sense of urgency. This step increases the chance of success for changes by setting the tone for change. This tone also helps individuals within the organization know how important the change is and the ramifications as well as the potential rewards for the change. Building a coalition. This relates to how strong leadership is needed to implement the change. Because of this, the leaders in the organization should all buy into the change so that it is to be implemented correctly. The buy-in and the commitment from the leaders is another success factor for organizational change. Forming a strategic vision and initiatives. After all, in order to get the desired change to be successful, the whole team needs to know how to get there. This stage outlines the necessary steps that are required for individuals and the organization as a whole to take in order to make the change successful. Enlisting a volunteer army. This is where individuals from different parts of the company who buy into the change are brought in and empowered to take actions that will result in the change. This is akin to a grassroots type of movement where individuals believe that they are doing the right thing in order to make the company succeed. Enabling actions by removing barriers. This step usually involves identifying factors that could negatively impact the process of change. It could be in the form of an inefficient process, business hierarchy, or even individuals who do not buy into the change. The removal of the said roadblocks will enable the change team to work through and implement the changes. Generating short-term wins. This is important because not only will it reinforce to the individuals within the company that the change being implemented is the correct one, but the short-term wins will also re-energize the team to perform better. Sustaining acceleration. This step, the change team should press harder after the short-term wins, which result to building momentum and ensure further success. Successful execution of this step always leads to increased credibility of the production team, which in turn brings down more barriers and ensures that the changes proposed will be carried out. And the last stage is instituting the change. This stage deals with articulating the corrections made by the change team to achieve the results. It also reinforces the new processes and behaviors brought about by the change and makes sure that the changes implemented are continued until it becomes habit. After all, no organization wants the resources spent on implementing the change to go to waste because everyone reverts back to the old ways of doing business. Lewin's change management model was developed by Kurt Lewin in the 1940s. It may have been around for a while, but this model still holds true today. The change model involves 3 steps. The first step is to unfreeze and prepare the organization for change. This involves breaking down the existing status quo before the new system is put in place. This is the most difficult and stressful part of the change process. And one would normally hear or regularly hear the phrase, "This is how we've always done it." It puts everyone off balance and can invoke strong reactions to people. The second step is to perform the change. This is when the changes that are implemented in the new system are put in place. There could also be a new process. In this to be successful, it's important for employees to understand the new processes. And the third step is to refreeze. This is when the organization refreezes to internalize or institutionalize the change. This involves taking action to make sure that the changes that have been put in place are used every time. This repetition can foster a new sense of stability, which in turn contributes for changes to be fully adopted. When applying the DMAIC method to the ADKAR model, the defined step could be applied to organizational change by building awareness for the change. The measure and analyze steps create the desire to change to those that will be affected. The improve step then allows the organization to train individuals to gain knowledge and ensure that they have the ability to change. And the control step can be used to reinforce the change. In Kotter's 8-step theory, the DMAIC method is applied through the following. The defined step corresponds to creating a sense of urgency. The measure and analyze steps corresponds to building a coalition and forming strategic vision and initiatives. The improve step corresponds to enlisting a volunteer army, enabling action by removing barriers and generating short-term wins. And the control step corresponds to sustaining acceleration and instituting change. In terms of the DMAIC method, applying to Lewin's change management model, the define, measure, and analyze steps are deployed to unfreeze and prepare the organization for change. The improve step is then used to perform the change, and the control step is used to refreeze and internalize or institutionalize the changes. This graduate research project will then use the application of the DMAIC method along with organizational change methodologies to propose changes to JCPenney so that it will stabilize and work its way towards a healthier business. The first step in the DMAIC method is defined. Let's start by looking at JCPenney's company profile. JCPenney is one of the United States' most established retailers and has been around for over 100 years. It competes in the retail sector. The company has $426 million in market capitalization. It is one of the US's largest apparel and home retailers. JCPenney has over 860 stores in the US and Puerto Rico, and they have 98,000 employees. In the full year results for 2017, JCPenney had $12.5 billion in revenue, and their direct competitors include Macy's, Dillard's, and Kohl's. JCPenney's mission is to make every customer shopping experience worth their effort, money, and time, whether it's shopping at one of their 860 stores or visiting their website, jcp.com. Their vision is to deliver a dynamic retail experience by evolving to meet the 21st century demand for retail. This will be done by leveraging the use of online, mobile, and physical store sales. So let's discuss, why is change necessary? This is because the retail market has changed. And one of the main reasons for this is consumer attitudes have changed. There are also changes in the delivery methods of products and services. And another important part is the increased competition. Another factor is that after 2011, JCPenney made an attempt in organizational change that did not go well. As a result, the company has experienced poor performance since then. Being a publicly traded company, it is the duty of JCPenney's to its stakeholders to make a profit. Otherwise, if poor performance continues, the company will fail. The next step in the DMAIC method is measure. We will look at the market conditions as well as past performance of JCPenney. JCPenney competes in the department store industry, and in this industry, there is very high competition. Another factor also is that this industry is in decline. The main reasons for these are the change in consumer habits, increased competition from bargain versions, increased competitions from pure e-commerce sites, and increased competition from warehouse clubs, supercenters, and grocery stores. When looking at the revenues for JCPenney, you will find that the numbers are impressive. It's not a normal occurrence for a company to have billions in revenue. What is concerning though is that the revenues are on a downward trend after 2011. JCPenney's net income history paints a grimmer picture. The company has consistently posted a yearly net loss after the year 2012, with the highest loss just being over $1.2 billion in 2014. While the company is still in the red, the net income of JCPenney in the consecutive years has been trending up. This is a good sign that the company still has a chance. Let's move on to the next step of the demake method, which is the analyze phase. In this phase, we will perform a SWOT analysis on JCPenney. First, the strengths. Company history. JCPenney is over 100 years old, and it possesses a very strong brand recognition. It also has a good reputation with American consumers, and they offer a diverse product line, which is a mix of in-house brands such as Arizona Jeans and St. John's Bay, to nationally recognized brands such as Levi's or Nike. JCPenney also operates in a niche market that offers salons and photography services in stores. For JCPenney's weaknesses, the majority of their revenue is from physical stores, which means that they're not using their e-commerce capabilities effectively. To contribute to this, the industry is currently trending down in physical store sales due to the change in consumer preferences. JCPenney also has issues with how efficient it's using its employees. The measure for this is revenue per employee, which means that the average revenue generated by each employee of a company. It's pretty low compared to the industry standard, where JCPenney is $106,877 and the industry averages at $227,584. JCPenney is also not selling as fast as their competition. Using the method of inventory turnover, which indicates how many times a company has sold and replaced inventory during a given period, for JCPenney, their inventory turnover ratio is 2.71, which is low compared to the 6.33 industry average. JCPenney also has outdated technology and is playing catch-up in terms of integration of online and mobile storefronts with its in-store inventory. The marketing strategy shift that was done in 2012 also hurt JCPenney, and this drove away a lot of customers. Now let's talk about JCPenney's opportunities. And there's a lot. The first is technology. Industry analysts project an exponential growth in online sales. With the growing trend, JCPenney needs to invest more in resources into e-commerce. With this investment, they can update the technology, such as mobile apps, and leverage their physical store locations for use in e-commerce with features such as in-store pickup and real-time inventory checks. The customer base for Sears is also very similar to JCPenney. And with Sears filing for bankruptcy, it's a great opportunity for JCPenney to attract Sears' customer base. Also, not many retail stores offer salon and photography services. There's an opportunity for JCPenney to grow if more is invested in these services. JCPenney's in-house brands are one of its core strengths, and because of this, there's opportunity to further develop in-house brands if the right product is found. Another opportunity for JCPenney is to offer more diverse products to draw in more customers. They have been successful with their partnership with Sephora, and there could be further opportunities if they partner with another brand for products such as food or electronics. For threats, JCPenney faces a change in consumer shopping preferences. Over the years, it has shifted to preference for more convenience by either purchasing different goods in one place or by not going out at all and purchasing them online. Another constant threat is increased competition. New entrants are always constantly appearing, and there are also big threats from e-commerce companies, namely Amazon, and other direct competitors who have already expanded into e-commerce. Another threat are other retailers that do not traditionally compete with JCPenney that are now selling clothing and housewares. An example for this are Kroger, which has launched Kroger Marketplace, and HEB with HEB Plus. The next step in the make method is improve. For this phase, we now propose some changes to make JCPenney more viable. First is to focus and introduce a dynamic retail experience, the omnichannel. The omnichannel is the integration of physical stores with e-commerce and m-commerce. M-commerce is the mobile app. Leverage the use of social media to drum up interest. Continue to focus on other initiatives to increase sales. You can do this by offering up-to-date and relevant beauty products, better quality goods in the home department, competitive pricing, gotta love those deep discounts, and an increased focus on women's apparel. Of course, change is not easy, but one way for companies to gradually change is to champion or encourage behaviors that will lead to change. In JCPenney's case, there should be a movement to champion behaviors that improve the customer experience and make this a focus or the top priority in all aspects of the business. This means that this behavior should be all for all employees, especially leadership. What does this mean really? It means that any initiative has to tie in with the priorities. And with improving the customer experience being the top priority, management and employees should ask themselves, what are they doing to help improve the customer experience? The company should also pursue a lower cost base. This means reduce spending on materials and overhead, but not at the expense of quality and consumer expectations. Lowering costs is another way for companies to improve their profits. Let's take JCPenney's performance over the years 2016 and 2017 as an example. In 2017 and 2016, the revenues were $12.63 billion in 2016 and $12.55 billion in 2017. Yet, in 2016, JCPenney had a loss of $513 million and a profit of $1 million in 2017. The most likely scenario is that JCPenney has either eliminated or reduced a lot of the cost, and this has helped their bottom line in the span of those years. Lastly, incentives should be put in place to reinforce the desired behavior. This can be done in many ways and come in many forms, such as praise, promotions, salary increases, or even bonuses. The final step in the DMAKE method is control. Sustain the changes. How do we make the changes stick? The steps to make the changes stick actually should be done in parallel with the main steps. In the beginning, when looking at the reason for changes, management should be transparent on how these changes will impact the employees. This message should be conveyed at every step of the process. The second way to sustain changes is to build a case for the change. Win the hearts and minds of the employees. Sell the change. Once stated, this case should be repeated regularly to reinforce the message. The third step is one of the most important steps, is to ensure that the leadership is on board and setting a good example for the change. The fourth step is to empower the employees, have them engaged and involved in the change. The last step is to promote and reward desired behaviors until they become embedded into the organization. To be aware, changes in this magnitude take a lot of time and effort. So changes like this will not happen overnight, but it will happen perhaps over a couple of years. Thank you very much for your time.